Hello, good evening. You're welcome to News Tonight here on GHOne Television with me, Patrick Stevenson.
And Kemini Amano. First, our top stories.
Let's start over the recent security breaches. Meanwhile, experts warn against politicizing the Kwabena jailbreak.
Also this hour, armed men demolish a 4-bedroom house at New Botiano. We'll find out why.
Up tonight, we'll talk about the era of fake news, a term made popular by American President Donald Trump, but a phenomenon that masks the advent of social media.
Coming up in Insight, we ask, why are authorities looking on as squatters continue to take over the Tema motorway? Could it be because government is not adhering to standards in removing squatters?
At the business, we talk some cassava cultivation as Ghana is to earn more than $100 million from cultivating the cash crop in 5 African countries.
This is News Tonight. Thank you very much for your company. Our first stop here is a New Botiano, where a group of armed young men suspected to be land guards demolished a 4-bedroom house in the Greater Accra region. Now, the men, numbering about 15, visited the property belonging to one Robert, tied the caretaker before going ahead to wreak havoc on the property worth thousands of cedis. Now, according to the owner, the thugs are from a claimant to the stool in the community, Ni Otinto. Now, as part of a quest by GHOne News to put the spotlight on activities of land guards in the region, Ibrahim Al-Hassan visited this community and reports.
So this property you see behind me is a 4-bedroom structure. As you can see visibly, there have been an attempt to demolish this structure. It's an uncompleted building, of course, which has been roofed. But of course, the pillars have been brought down. We told that this is the handiwork of land guards who visited this site. They met the caretaker of this property. They bundled him out of the property and went ahead to wreak havoc on this structure. I have with me here the owner of this building. Let's have him over to share his story with us. Tell us what exactly happened.
Well, I own 6 plots of land here, and there was a demolition work about 2 years ago, and they demolished my property, that is the fence wall. In this process, they took 2 plots of mine, and these 2 plots of land is being developed by someone in which the case is in the court.
So you've taken that case?
We've taken that
because
action.
Out of the 6 plots of land, 2 were taken out and then given out to somebody.
To somebody.
2 plots were taken from you
from me
and given out to somebody.
So there is a dispute on the 2 plots of land. The case is in the court, in which we'll be going even to court on Wednesday. Last Wednesday, I came here with a bailiff, and we put notice on that piece of land. And 3 days later, these land guards came. They tied my caretaker on gunpoint.
They tied him up?
They tied him up. And on the gunpoint, they have knives with guns, and literally they even gave gunshots or warning shots, in which I came here with a police friend of mine, and we saw one of the cartridge, an empty cartridge. And this cartridge is with the police.
Now, so why would they want to demolish your property? Do you know?
I think they would like to frighten me to leave this for property too. This is what I think.
But who are you fighting with? Who do you think will be behind the activity of these land guards?
Well, my point of view, I called the one who was developing the land, and I would like to meet her one-on-one, that we can solve this issue amicably. But she told me she's not going to see me. And I asked her who gave her the land. She told me it was Otinto. And I met Otinto one-on-one somewhere last year in March. I confronted him. He came with me to the land. I showed him where the land is situated. He came with me directly to this piece of land. And I showed him the land. And then, well, he gave me a smiling face. I said, this piece of land is mine. He cannot take it away from me.
Or what do you want done? Because with the case of the 2 plots, the case is still at the court.
Yeah.
So what do you want the police to do? Or you are seeking justice?
I'm seeking justice.
Coming to you from New Botiano, this has been Ibrahim Al-Hassan for GHOne News.
Now to some illegal mining news, where Minister of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Professor Seth Frimpong, has noted that about $30 billion worth of illegally mined gold is small gold from Ghana every year by foreigners engaged in the value chain of the commodity to their various countries. Now, the minister made the disclosure during the inauguration of the municipal and district committees against illegal mining for 9 districts.
The committee, headed by municipal and district chief executives, are expected to sustain the fight against illegal mining, vets, and scrutinize documents of all registered small-scale miners in their districts, out of which recommendations will be made to the Interministerial Committee against small-scale mining for final determination. This will then indicate whether or not to lift the ban on small-scale mining activities. Professor Frimpong Boateng, however, warned members of the committee to desist from any activity or actions that would undermine the motive for the exercise.
We cannot go on like that and expect that we will survive. See, when the boom is gone, when everything is gone, what will be left of us? And the sad thing is that we lose about $30 billion a year from illegal mining activities. That's what the foreigners take away. We are not getting the investment that we are getting because of our behavior.
Deputy Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Barbara Otinjesi, who was also present at the ceremony, noted that the ministry will soon decentralize the mining regulatory bodies in all 25 mining districts.
We have decided to restructure the Minerals Commission by increasing the number of district offices of the Minerals Commission, as well as creating additional satellite offices. Currently we have about 9 district offices. It is going to be increased to 11, and then we are going to create additional satellite offices to bring the Minerals Commission closer to the small-scale mining sector.
You're watching News Tonight. That's how to get in touch with us on social media. But speaking of which, have you ever come across a news item online which you believe to be true, only to later realize it was false? Well, you were spoofed, and that is called fake news, a term made popular by U.S. President Donald Trump. The spread of fake news over the internet gives a sense of the speed of light these days. Nabil Ahmed Rufai takes a look at the phenomenon of fake news and its prolific growth.
When Donald Trump uses the term fake news to describe the CNN or BBC, that is not just a questionable political tactic, it is actually dangerous.
The broadcast of a news item which later is found not to be true may have been with society for decades, but the term fake news is now attributed to US President Donald Trump, whom in his constant accusation of the media bias never leaves out CNN. He has accused CNN many times of spreading false news on their channel, including the recent expose on the Libya slave trade.
It is unfair and and incorrect to accuse legitimate news organizations of deliberately peddling fake news. This is really serious, and it just has to stop, because it is undermining not just our safety, but the credibility of democracy and the fight against corruption and the legitimacy of our order.
Fake news, however, has become common on social media in the last few years. Here in Ghana, it has become a norm for people to spread news of people's death on social media. In fact, the late former president John Evans Atta Mills was a victim of this. Before his death on 24th July 2012, many social media fanatics wrote about his death on Facebook, causing anguish among his friends and family. Elsewhere in Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari suffered a similar fate after spending months abroad due to ill health. But the public is worried about the trend of fake news, especially when it is linked to death.
If they find somebody in that situation, they have to punish the person. They have to punish the person so that that thing can be stopped.
Imagine someone is not dead, and you just post a picture that the person is just dead, and you are just saying you're making some story about it. I think it's not nice at all.
Away from death-related fake news, however, another worrying trend that is creeping into social media is the setting up of fake accounts. So when you go to Facebook and you search BBC Africa, this is the accounts that you see here. You would see BBC Africa, BBC News Africa, and other platforms. Now, this is the original BBC Facebook accounts. You'd see their logo indicated here, and there are so many information being put across by BBC Africa. Now, this is actually the fake account on Facebook. You'd see that it still has the BBC Africa logo. The situation is more chaotic when you go to Twitter. You realize that this is the account of the Second Lady Samira Baumia, and she's also shared concerns about her fake accounts here on Twitter, and this is a disclaimer from the office of the Second Lady. In the face of this trend, a lot of fear is created among the public. Recently, there was the circulation of information on WhatsApp and some websites regarding a gas explosion in Ofankor, which read,
"Breaking news. Please, there's a serious gas explosion at ACP Ofankor barrier right now. Many lives and properties are burning as at now. In case you are in a car from Kumasi, in Sawam, Accra or Achimota, moving towards Ofankor barrier and ACP junction, please return to save your life. I was a witness and thank God I was able to escape. Share to save lives now. Let's pray for the victims."
This information turned out to be fake news when the fire service was contacted. Digital consultant GHOne News explains why fake news has become common these days.
For a lot of people who are creating fake news, they do it in a manner that is very difficult to go and arrest them or point them out. Now, the situation is worrying because it's fueled in part by businesses. There's a lot of people online who are only creating fake news, in the sense that once they create that fake news, they have a lot of traffic, people visiting their website. Once they do, it generates into revenue.
As a means of checking the spread of fake news, the Ghana Police Service has also cautioned the public to be wary of fake, duplicated social media accounts of high-profile personalities, public officials, and politicians. Digital consultant GHOne News says beyond this caution, government officials who realize their names have been used to spread fake news must quickly react to quell the effect the news may have on citizens.
So it's important that people of influence who are looked up to can also do something about fake news, in the sense that they can also try to do what we call verification before they send some of the news out. It's not so important that you be spreading news so you are first to go to market. However, the obligation of verification is also very important.
In an age of Photoshop, filters and social media, many of us are used to seeing manipulated pictures, so there is a new breed of video and audio manipulation tools made possible by advances in artificial intelligence and computer graphics that will allow for the creation of realistic-looking footage of public figures appearing to say, well, anything. This is the future of fake news, and global tech giants Google and Facebook have come under intense pressure to do more in developing tools to fight fake news. Nabil Ahmed Rufai, GHOne News.
Let's do some authentic news now. And the minority in Parliament is said to be accusing the government of constitutional breaches and disrespect of the Supreme Court over failure to communicate decision on 2 ex-Guantanamo detainees living in the country. President Akufo-Addo, during the media encounter last week, assured the fate of the duo will be determined and communicated to Parliament as soon as the House reconvenes. Nonetheless, the matter is conspicuously missing on the agenda of Parliament for the week. Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu raised the issue on the floor, demanding action from government.
Minister for Monitoring and Evaluation, Dr. Anthony Akoto, say in a reaction revealed government doesn't have to resubmit the agreement to Parliament. The old Tafo MP argued the state only needs to issue visas to the duo to continue living in the country.
There's a different issue Ablakwa is raising. He's raising a different matter. Mr. Speaker, it was brought to this Parliament for ratification. Now, the government has a right, unilaterally, to give them visas to stay on. That's an executive decision. It has nothing to do with Parliament. The thing with the American government has been properly ratified by this August House, period. So the President has fulfilled his constitutional obligations.
However, speaking to GHOne News, Minority spokesperson on Foreign Affairs Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa accused government of disrespecting the Supreme Court judgment that the agreement be presented to Parliament.
We cannot disrespect the Supreme Court. We cannot affront the Constitution. We have all taken an oath to uphold the Constitution of Ghana, and President Akufo-Addo, having ascribed to the oath of office and having pledged to uphold the Constitution of Ghana since midnight of January 6, every day, January 7, 8, 9, 10th. Today is the 23rd of January. We continue to breach the Constitution of Ghana, and we continue to affront the Supreme Court.
Minister for Parliamentary Affairs Oseiche Mensah Bonsu tells GHOne News government is still consulting on the matter given the sensitive nature of the issue. According to him, the Foreign Affairs Minister has already taken a decision which government is reviewing.
And government is in the process of consultations, and I'm told that they have not concluded the consultations. When they thought that they had about concluded, some other development has arisen, and they have to apply themselves to that and see what will work in the best interest of the country.
We'll stay in Parliament. Now, GHOne News can confirm that the 5-member committee probing allegations of extortion against the Trade Ministry earlier today met with owners of the expatriate businesses. Unlike the other witnesses, the committee interrogated the experts in camera. According to GHOne News sources, about 10 experts appeared before the committee to give their testimonies.
Parliament granted the request for expatriate business owners cited by the special committee investigating the cash for seat saga for an in-camera sitting. The business owners refused to honor an invitation 2 weeks ago, forcing the committee to take a break. Now, the committee has been granted 1 more week to complete its work. Majority Leader Oseiche Mensah Bonsu gave reasons for granting an in-camera interrogation of the expatriate business owners.
Some indications have been given to them. I think they waited for them on an appointed day and they didn't come. Subsequent to that, some indications were given to them that they may want rather to appear in camera, which the committee has granted. And that then would mean that they will not be able to have their sitting, conclude their sitting and submit their report tomorrow.
The minority welcomed the decision but encouraged the committee to do a thorough job. Here is North Tong MP Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa.
Parliamentary committees asking for more time is a very normal parliamentary practice. It happens all the time. And so I'm not opposed to it. I don't have any difficulty with it, to the extent that it allows the committee to do a good job. These matters have played out in full public glare. There have been public hearings. And so the good people of this country are following. And they expect that the committee will put together a very good report.
Well, there's more news coming up in a bit. Stay with us.
Therefore, ma yawo hoyi brings you. Na fe mu so mo kwan. Say the therefore say no.
Wada wo ma manento nana say nsuo asem de mo ha na okra ye ba no ye de nsuo ba.
Ah! Adai. Se waba efie. Ah, wa say yen ma mu nsuo nom no. Wo so di nsuo ba. Any say.
Nana eti amra.
Therefore, yesre wo. Nsuo we ke. Eye ahemfu nsuo a ye de afa mfidie mu. Asone so. Ayene Kroji, a Free Kingdom Beverages Limited, King's Drinking Water.
Baima, insured
Adampa,
King's Drinking Water. Eliana, King's Drinking Water.
The Ghana Trade Fair Company, under the auspices of the Ministry of Trade and Industry and the One District One Factory Secretariat, welcomes you to the 22nd Ghana International Trade Fair under the theme Industrializing Ghana and Creating Jobs. It will be 1 week of exhibition and enterprise from February 28 to March 7, 2018, offering manufacturers, suppliers, consumers, and various service providers the opportunity to network and make sales. The Presidency urges you to support, partner, and explore the opportunities available. For inquiries, call 0241-818-658, 0244-173-127, 055-247-4632, or visit tradefairgh.com. The 22nd Ghana International Trade Fair, industrializing Ghana and creating jobs.
Wondering where to find the best and affordable goods and services on the market today? Then Let's Go Shopping is the answer. Let's Go Shopping is your #1 telemarket. You can advertise your products on Let's Go Shopping this and every Saturday at 10 a.m. only on GHOne TV.
Autistic children's dreams come true during Verna Mineral Water rebranding launch.
Most of the times people ignore such kids and they tag them as evil kids or they are cursed and all that, but that's not true.
Putting a smile on every child's face, regardless of their condition, is a major responsibility of our society, and I am pleased to be a part of this today.
In this life, the best thing you can do is to make someone else happy, or basically make people around you happy.
Drinking and buying Verna mineral water, you help many people out there, like our beautiful sisters over here, and all the many people that Verna mineral water helps.
Here we go. Purchase a bottle of the all-new, sleek and stylish Verna natural mineral water today and support a worthy cause. Verna mineral water, changing people's lives.
Tonight on State of Affairs has been described by many as a ball of fire and one of Africa's fastest rising entrepreneurs.
Most Africans think that leadership is someone that we have to follow. So if we look at leadership that way, we could be swinging our whole selves as a country into a valley of someone's trap. People are still getting minimum wage when they come out of university. And if you don't pay people right, what you do is you strip every value out of the person. That person could be anyone. He could be a doctor, he could be a policeman, he could even pure water for bribe, he'll take it. because you've taken every value out of him.
Nana Kwame Bediako, well known as Cheddar, is my guest on State of Affairs.
Welcome back to News Tonight here on GHOne Television. Time now to bring you business and developments around the economy. Kwekutebe, over to you.
Patrick, a very good evening. Kamani, good evening as well. Just around yesterday, I was here and I was talking about Bitcoin from the central bank. So, barely 24 hours after this information came about the risk with Bitcoin, we want to find out if investors are backing out or it's a go-go area. They just want to stay there. When we come back, we'll talk about this and other interesting details in business. Do stay.
Business Brief is brought to you by Dusk Capital. We see a millionaire in you. We're looking for you, the next millionaire. We know of your stressful routine. From those 12-hour flights across the Atlantic to your hustle through traffic every day. From burning the midnight oil to that laptop that never sleeps. We know where you are in life and we know where you want to go. Let us take you there. Thinking investment? Think Dusk Capital. Dusk Capital. We see a millionaire in you.
Henry, what is wrong with you and your laptop? It is not working.
Hey. What at all is going on in this house?
Your son's laptop is not working and my phone.
Me kai me mo frabrim. Na me mama de me ko Freddy's corner. Enti ene eye manager. Se me di Freddy's corner ho dance e. A chere mabusia. Na de ba ko a me kai wo Freddy's corner. Eye se de wo siti wonim. Ejeji wo customers. Eba mobile phone, eba laptop papa, camera papa ni PlayStation eye Freddy's corner aha in the wall. Se ko ba to mobile phone say, o camera say, o laptop say and a PlayStation. Me ha ho kra. Freddy's corner be try you go amount. Freddy's corner, your home of authentic mobile phones and accessories.
All right, so let's do business now. Before we talk about Bitcoin, let's get into some food crop that is making waves. Now, Ghana is expected to benefit from a $177 million revenue generated from cassava cultivation project in 5 African countries. While the cover project, when fully implemented, will ensure food security and also support the nutritional needs of the citizenry.
The Cassava Adding Value for Africa project CAVA is an initiative funded by the Melinda Gates Foundation, and it seeks to increase the incomes of over 200,000 cassava value chain actors, especially smallholder farmers and processors. The project is currently being undertaken in Ghana, Nigeria, Tanzania, Uganda and Malawi. Speaking at a stakeholders review meeting in Accra, Deputy Minister of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Patricia Appiagyei, said government has selected cassava as one of the key crops to be cultivated in its flagship program, the One District, One Factory initiative. She tells GH1 Business the move would help create more jobs, especially for the youth.
The government has the plans of launching the One District, One Factory program, especially the special component of the development of cassava, added value to cassava products. If we are able to do that, we'll be able to increase on the number of industries that will benefit from the use of processed cassava, and we also believe that it is also going to generate an income for the farmers at large.
The Food Research Institute of CSIR is currently championing the Cover project in Ghana. Director of Food Research at the CSIR, Mary Obodai, said the initiative is likely to break the cycle of poverty among rural farmers.
This project, as we're having a review, is to look at what cassava is and how it can be how it's processed and how it can help in poverty alleviation. It gives more opportunity for more people to get employed, more people to get jobs, helps in poverty alleviation, helps in increasing the income of women, because you know over 70% of women in our farms are processing or growing cassava.
All right, let's do some more business. Now, if you think that statement from the central bank warning investors of dealing in bitcoins is one that will scare cryptocurrency operators, then you are wrong about that. Now, they are rather urging the central bank to speed up the legislative process backing the use of virtual or digital currencies, since they stand to benefit from the charges and fees on every transaction that is done.
It's not yet legal tender in this country, and for that reason, people have to be cautious.
Apart from alerting the public that the central bank does not recognize Bitcoin as a tradable medium of exchange, the Bank of Ghana also issued a statement saying it was now investing to enhance the use of digital money and also introduce cybersecurity guidelines to safeguard electronic and online transactions. The statement noted until Parliament considers it, investors who venture into the virtual market do so at their own risk. With this information in hand, I went to meet Richard Odami, a graduate from Ashasi University, who is now a cryptocurrency analyst. I first asked him how he received the news from the central bank.
I think that it's actually in the right direction. With every jurisdiction that Bitcoin or cryptocurrency is legal, there's definitely a framework that guides the regulation, although there are some red flags that are being raised. But I think that in the case of Ghana, definitely the regulatory body for monetary policy is the central bank. So everybody expects that they do their due diligence, they do their work and say that they haven't sanctioned it yet. So people should be careful. But we hope that Ghana does not become laid back in the technology. So we hope that they will definitely come up with the right infrastructure and be able to encourage more Ghanaians to take advantage of the technology, because we cannot miss out on it.
Richard tells me Ghana would be left out if the central bank does not speed up the processes to legalize trading with bitcoins.
If we decide to take advantage of it early, then definitely as an early adapter, you make the money. Just like how Peter Thiel had almost about 10.2% in Facebook, as compared to Bill Gates, who invested 240 million but just made 1.6%. So people are just taking advantage of Bitcoin. What Bitcoin simply means, Bitcoin is simply a decentralized form of currency. So instead of having a form of currency that is controlled by the central bank, this time around the currency is controlled by demand and supply. So it is just a revision to the barter era, where it's an agreement between you and I. But instead of just having it in a on a personal level or in the crude way, this time around it is done using the digital space.
So why would an investor channel resources into an area not supported by the central bank? Mohammed Adams is a cryptocurrency investor. He says more and more people are joining daily.
This morning, I received more than 5 calls from friends that are interested in investing into cryptocurrency, and they are interested. They want me to educate them how it's done, how the trading is done, where and how can they get their money cash out and all that. So quite a number of Ghanaian population currently are actually into cryptocurrency.
In 2009, Satoshi Nakamoto invented the first cryptocurrency called the Bitcoin, which is a digital or virtual money used to trade on the internet. All right, so the question or the argument will still continue. Bitcoin should we trade in, or you should just take the central bank on their word that you do so at your own risk? Well, later on, Kemeni and Patrick could break it down a little bit for you, but I'm done with business thanks to Dusk Capital.
Business Brief was brought to you by Dusk Capital. We see a millionaire in you.
Will you deal Bitcoins?
I don't know. I mean, I'm risk averse. Sometimes you have too much information, you're saddled with a lot, you tend to be risk averse.
Yeah.
But I think there are people who have made, tons of money out of cryptocurrency. And so, again, investment, risk returns. You love it, you love risk, you make money.
Well, it's good for you. I don't know if I will. Coming up now is Insight. Tonight, slum dwellers are increasingly taking over the buffer zones on the Tema Motorway. What began as a dotted settlement is now becoming a fully fledged slum. Here's a report by William Evans Inkum.
The speed limit on the Tema Motorway is 100 kilometers. Apparently, some cross the red line. A driver on the Tema Expressway has to be extra careful in order not to hit any surprise intruder pedestrians. Slums are fast building up on both sides of the buffer zones on the motorway.
The Tema Motorway was built in such a way that there will be enough buffer zone for future expansion. But these dwellers are increasingly taking over the restricted area.
Ghana has a problem with managing urban slums, and sometimes political expediency reduces practical solution to mere rhetoric. Old Fadama, perhaps the biggest slum in Accra, has its own problems, from sanitation to other basic amenities. Extreme poverty breeds social vices, and the innocent person becomes the target. Back at the motorway, the story is no different. A fast developing slum is springing up on the 19-kilometer stretch. Interestingly, some of the wooden structures had warning inscriptions from the Ghana Highway Authority. So, the point is, the authority cannot deny any knowledge about the unlawful settlement. Indeed, rapid urbanization has brought enormous challenges, including growing numbers of slum dwellers. In recent decades, the world has experienced unprecedented urban growth. In 2015, close to 4 billion people, that is 54% of the world's population, lived in cities, and that number is projected to increase to about 5 billion by 2030. According to the United Nations 2017 Progress Report on Sustainable Development Goal 11. Ghana is not exempted from the global drift. Perhaps this is the dilemma. The United Nations Millennium Declaration recognizes the dire circumstances of the world's urban poor. It articulates the commitment of member states, including Ghana, to improve the lives of at least 100 million slum dwellers by the year 2020. Improving the lives of these dwellers means providing a dignified habitat for them with the provision of essential basic amenities. Will the country be able to resolve the slum menace, which is fast growing in buffer zones on the motorway, or provide dignified lives for people living at Old Fadama? Only time will tell.
Now, there are those who argue that slums have become a part of our development as a community, and we should find inclusive ways of getting them involved in the socioeconomic advancement of our various communities we have across the world, but well, more importantly, West Africa and then some other jurisdictions you have in Africa. But what we'll try to show you will be some attempts that have been made to rid slums of major cities, typically Accra and Kumasi, and what has happened after that. And so in July 2004, you do recall that Mr. Alfred Okuvan-Dapoy was the boss of the AMA. He pulled down some structures around Akokofoto, which is around Dansoman. Again, a month later, the Ga Traditional Council commended him for having undertaken this particular effort and further expanding it to areas around Mensa, Guinness, which is also a popular slum here in Accra. Again, in June 2015, parts of the biggest slum in Accra, which is the Old Fadama slum, infamously referred to as Sodom and Gomorrah, were demolished. But here's the interesting thing. After all these exercises, it appears that the people who were kicked out of these slum areas appear to have moved back. And so the question we've been asking is, to what extent are eviction strategies working, and is it time to look at other strategies for inclusively providing for these people that we have across the various slums in the country? Kamini, over to you. This is what we have.
Well, unfortunately, it is very difficult getting those duty bearers or authorities who are directly involved in, dealing with some of these slum settlements. I'm talking about the assemblies. I'm talking about the Ghana Highway Authority. I'm also talking about all the other authorities who have to deal with urban development and the likes. However, and thankfully, the president appointed a minister for inner cities and Zongo development, which will include some of these slum settlements, and he's been speaking to us on the subject. Take a look.
The bill specifically tells us what to do with the fund, and the ministry is mandated in 4 or 5 thematic areas. That is infrastructure and sanitation enhancement, economic empowerment, social development, cultural promotion, security and crime control.
Well, Patrick, so now he has the fund given presidential assent as far as the law to establish it is concerned. We look forward to 2018 being the time that some real work actually starts on this. I don't know what you think about his submission.
You know the interesting thing about slums? I know quite a number of studies that have been conducted on this stuff, right? I mean, they've tested communities like, some communities in Lagos and some other jurisdictions. And in all cases, when you evict the people, they come back. And so now I think the thinking is moving to how do we find inclusive ways of generating significant value from them. And so we hope, we wish the government well on this time it works and works properly for the country.
Well, while we ponder over that in other conversations, let's turn attention to the Kwabenya jailbreak. Well, obviously, that'll be all for insights for now. When I come back, I'll tell you about the Kwabenya jailbreak. Now, Director of Academic Affairs of the Ghana Armed Forces Command and College, Dr. Vladimir Danso, has asked Ghanaians to desist from politicizing the Kwabenya jailbreak attack. Now, speaking to GHOne News' Joshua Ayura, he indicated that the act will only inhibit the progress of the police service in their pursuit to bring the suspects to book.
The jailbreak, which shocked the nations, has prompted massive concern over the safety of citizens, particularly of those in Kwabenya. The police have since launched a manhunt for the cop killers and jailbreakers. With very little information surrounding the incident, some Ghanaians are beginning to read some political undertones to it. However, Director of Academic Affairs at the Ghana Armed Forces Command and College, Dr. Vladimir Danso, indicated that the country will do itself a great disservice should the heinous incidents be politically interpreted.
Does crime have political colors or religious colors? When we don't go away from this, we are not getting anywhere. And I bet you, if we start politicizing the Kwabenya thing, the culprits will go scot-free, because at the courts it's going to be politics. It's a crime, whether committed by MPP or NDC or CPP. It's a crime. So we are judging the crime by the crime, not by the political color.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Police Administration, as part of efforts to bring the perpetrators to justice, have posted a 15,000 Ghana cedis bounty.
These suspects are within the community, and they are a threat to the society. So there is no need of harboring them. So if you have them or have any information that can lead to the arrest, the police administration through the public affairs has announced the 15,000 bounty on the head of each of the individual that we get information on.
Greater Accra Police PRO ASP Ifya Tenge encouraged the public to assist the police without fear.
We don't even disclose the identities of our informants or people who give us such credible information. So if you think that you don't feel safe in disclosing such information, I don't think that also picking a phone to also call the police to give us that information probably is something that is also of a security essence to you.
The Accra Regional Police Command has debunked the statement claiming all suspects who absconded from lawful custody at Kwabena Police Station have surrendered themselves to Medina Police. It says the information is only intended to divert the attention of the public from the ongoing pursuit.
Now, in a related development, the Interior Minister Ambrose Derry and the IGP Dr. Asante Appiah have both assured they have a lid on the security of a country in spite of the current developments. Now, the assurance follows the attack on Kwabena Police Station by armed robbers who freed their colleagues, killing a police officer in the process.
After a marathon meeting with the Defence and Interior Committee of Parliament, Minister of the Interior Ambrose Derry said calls for IGP to resign are unwarranted.
Over the years, we've had a number of policemen killed. Last year, in spite of all that we've said, 4. It was 4 policemen who died. 1 policeman dying is 1 policeman too many. We want 0. We don't want any of our policemen to die. But having said that, you said 8 have died. Then, if you look at the statistics over the years, I'm sure there are several IGPs who have been sacked. Would that have solved the problem? I believe that we need to confront the issue. What happened at Kwabena? We want to know.
The minister also touched on the Fulani menace, calling for a holistic approach in dealing with the matter.
If you're talking about Fulani headsmen, it's a thing that's been with us. Growing up, even me, when I was young, President Kaole was there. It's coming and going. We have to think of ways to deal with it on a permanent basis. It means that we have to work together and see how several ministries can come together and work a permanent solution. Because all we've done over the years haven't sent them away. We've moved them out of Agogo. They've gone to other parts of the country. So we need to deal with it.
The IGP, on his part, assured personnel the service will do all it takes to protect them following reports of despondency in the service. Asante Appiah too also assured the general public the police are in charge and will roll out measures to ensure total safety of all while matching criminals boot for boot.
We are behind our men. I mean, we assure and reassure them that things that have happened is not going to break our resolve to protect the people of this country. And they should continue. That is our sworn mandate. And we continue to protect life and property and maintain law and order in this country.
Ranking member of the Defence and Interior Committee, James Agalga, who told GHOne News before the meeting the country's security setup is failing after the meeting, said he is assured by the briefing given the committee by the security couples.
Elsewhere in the country, the Gowusu family in Golu has marked the 20th anniversary since the passing of Dr. Hela Liman, a former president of Ghana in the Third Republic. The ceremony was heralded by a football match between Golu United and Golu Youngsters. It was then climaxed with a Durbar at the Liman family house.
At the meeting, the paramount chief of the Golu traditional area called on government to continue the museum project that was started by the Kufuor-led NPP administration in honor of Dr. Hela Liman. Speaking exclusively to GHOne News, the Gowulu Kuro Kuri Buktie Liman IV noted that the then NDC administration, who took over from the NPP in 2009, was also convinced the museum project will honor the memory of the late president.
Look at the tomb. Compare his tomb to that of Mills' tomb. We are asking the government to come and build a mausoleum for him. In fact, this man started it, President Kufuor, but they didn't execute it. He started it. a French, some South Koreans were to come and build it, but they couldn't do it because the NDC, when they took over, they cancelled it. So what I'm saying, look at him. There's no name, proper place given to him, his effigy or his statue to be built.
Now, as well on the subject of statesmen, a senior citizen, first female member of parliament, Lucy Ainin, has shared fond memories of former colleague and diplomat KB Asante, who died Monday morning, January 22nd. Now, Madam Ainin wants contemporary politicians to take lessons from the life lived by the departed statesman.
He was an Nkrumahist, somebody who believed in the vision of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And he was a great Accra. Old Achimota. I met KB, the late KB Asante. He was teaching in Achimota School. I entered Achimota School in 1954. He was one of those few teachers at that time. The whole school were almost expatriates. When I became a member of parliament, he was then at the Flagstaff House with Okon, and then when Nkrumah was making his 7-year development plan, he was there with J.H. Mensah and others who later became. So we've lost a great man, a very, very great man. Foreign affairs, foreign policy, OAU, so many things that we have really lost.
Tonight on GHOne, we are bringing together all of the tributes that have come in for Hugh Masekela, legendary
trumpeter.
Yeah,
I used to love his music though.
And then also, did you watch Teletubbies while growing up?
Yes.
Oh, you did?
A little bit of it.
Did. One of the voice actors has died, Simon Barnes. He played the purple Teletubby with a red bag.
Okay.
Let's check that out in GHOne.
Keep pouring in for South African trumpeter Hugh Masekela, whose death has been the talk of the day. His death came as a shock to many, as he has been an influential person in Africa's music industry. Hugh Masekela was also one of the continent's biggest exports due to his intense knowledge with instruments and lyrics that were relatable to issues pertaining to the ordinary African. Meanwhile, British actor Simon Shelton has also died at 52. Also known as Simon Barnes, he played the role of Tinky Winky in the popular TV cartoon Teletubbies from 1997 to 2001. His role was more popular because of the ever-visible red handbag he always carried with him, which was believed to have possessed some magic. Simon also starred in Swing Kids, Dark Knight and Incredible Games. According to reports, the actor died on January 17, but the family kept it under the carpet until this morning.
May they rest in peace. Right now, we'll check our news from International Brief.
U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions has been questioned by investigators examining whether Russia colluded with the Trump campaign in the 2016 election. Mr. Sessions appears to be the first member of President Donald Trump's cabinet to be questioned about the alleged Russian meddling in the 2016 election. He is also investigating whether Mr. Trump's firing of FBI Director James Comey last year was an effort to obstruct the agency's Russia probe. The interview with Mr. Sessions, the nation's top lawman, lasted several hours, according to U.S. media reports. 17 U.S. intelligence agencies have concluded that Russia sought to aid Mr. Trump's electoral victory, but it has not been proven that Trump campaign officials colluded with the Kremlin. Mr. Trump has denied any wrongdoing. The former FBI director, as well as 3 different congressional committees, are investigating the allegation of Russian meddling and possible collusion. The European Union says it is ready to review ties with Zimbabwe and support the country's re-engagement with international financial institutions once the new government presents clear plans for political and economic reforms that could include providing election monitors when Zimbabweans vote later this year for the first time since former President Robert Mugabe resigned following a de facto military coup in November after nearly 4 decades in power. The embassy said in a statement on Tuesday that the EU Council had agreed at a meeting in Brussels on Monday that the elections were an essential step in mending relations. The South African nation became a pariah under Mugabe when it defaulted on its foreign debt in 1999 and was slapped with Western sanctions over alleged vote rigging and the violent seizure of white-owned farms. New President Emmerson Mnangagwa, 75, has promised to repair ties with the West, repay Zimbabwe's foreign debt, compensate white farmers, and open up the resource-rich country to overseas investors.
That'll be all for tonight. Thank you very much for your company. State of Affairs comes on at 8:30. My name is Kamini Amano.
And I am Patrick Stevenson. Do stay with us tomorrow as we bring you updates from across the country. Good evening.
Bye.
On State of Affairs has been described by many as a ball of fire and one of Africa's fastest rising entrepreneurs.
Most Africans think that leadership is someone that we have to follow. So if we look at leadership that way, we could be swinging our whole selves as a country into a valley of someone's trap. People are still getting minimum wage when they come out of university. And if you don't pay people right, what you do is you strip every value out of the person. That person could be anyone. He could be a doctor, he could be a policeman, he could even pure water for bribe.